It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
And now, our final guest, he's going to bring us home. He is a co-crew chief for the Snap-on Tools Funny Car of Cruz Pedregon and a good friend, one of the people I really look forward to seeing out there at the track, Mr. Eric Lane. What's up?
How are you doing?
Hey, how are you? What's going on?
I'm doing all right.
We need you centered a little bit more. You need to go, but then we can't see the Wally in the background. I can understand why you want to show off that Wally. So how's it going? How are you staying busy?
Well, after watching your last guest, I feel like I'm not doing my part, but on that, I'm going to touch that a little bit. My next door neighbor is a nurse at the local hospital, and a lot of them don't have the N95 mask, and what they've been doing is they've actually been doubling up on the mask, so it makes it even worse. So when I've seen those, it actually looks like you could put multiple masks on as well. So I've already wrote down the email, and I'm going to be sending those off to him too. So
that's
I think that's a cool thing he's doing.
Yeah, it really is, and we want to help somehow. And some of us are not, like I don't have that kind of talent. So what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I do? Well, I can put Justin on, right? I can put him on. And now you know about him. And he could have probably got to you somehow using the social media. But now we've facilitated, I feel like I've been helpful in a way to this circumstance. But what are you going to do? All right, so let's talk about some positive things, though. You guys are going to be the most organized and ready to go that you've ever been for anything whenever we get ready to go.
100%. We were excited to go to Gainesville. We got down there, made some big changes to go to Gainesville, made some leeway through the first couple races. Hadn't done too well, but, we've been working out, hurting the motor and doing some things and just working out the clutch guy and a lot of different areas. We were really excited going into Gainesville, and then obviously we got there and things had changed, and it is what it is. So we came back to the shop, did a lot of organization of the shop, which as much as you always try to stay ahead of the game, you just never get there. And the one thing that's a little different at Cruz Pedregon's shop is that he's got an actual running show car. So the car actually is basically a third funny car that we can use as a deal to go to sponsorships and do different things with Snap-on and actually start the car on nitro, which is pretty cool. So we've been able to get caught up on a lot of those things, and then also he's got his nostalgia car, which is amazing to be a part of. And there's a picture of it there. So
one of my favorites. I have a story about that. I forget where I was. It was after Indy a couple of years ago when he just finished it. And I, how do I say this? I keep my distance from people. I'm not trying to go be everybody's friend. I end up as some people's friend, but I'm not going to go try to butt my way into anything that I don't feel like I got my own stuff going. I hopefully that sounds reasonable to people. But when Cruz Pedregon comes over to me and says, "Hey, what are you doing after Indy?" And I'm like, I got to fly home tomorrow. He goes, "What time you fly? Why don't you come by the shop and see this car?" I was thrilled because I'm a 78 Trans Am guy. Like, that's my car. Like, I got one. You might not be able to see it on the wall, but that's my car, the Bandit Trans Am. That look, regardless of what you do with it. I remember the early funny cars. Dale pulled these War Eagle, that style, Gordy Bonin. Like, that is the car. And Cruz that's one of my favorite cars out there on the nostalgia scene.
Yeah, well, and if you look at that car, it's old with the paint and the, all of the stickers. They're not actual stickers, they're painted on. And I mean, even the headlights, taillights are all painted. So it's a beautiful car. And it just came back from Saudi Arabia, actually, for that NHRA deal. And it just got shipped back to us. So, we've been doing a lot of stuff at the shop and just trying to be organized. And, as well as, we try to do our part and try to do the things that we can do. And I'm glad there's people like Don Schumacher and these other places that are helping out, not only on the racing side, but just kind of helping out with the cause. And I wish we could do more. We don't have the facilities, the machines and the 3D printers and all that stuff. But, I just think it's cool that our racing community is doing a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So it's awesome.
Well, it is what DSM did, and the 3D printing of masks, and we got to get through it. And I hope we are getting through it. I feel we are getting through it. How far through it are we? Are we almost halfway? Are we beyond halfway? That's a debate that's happening right now. But I just don't want to come out too early and have to do it again. And that's the debate I'm having with a lot of my friends. And some of them are getting angry at me, like, aren't you going crazy? We need to make money. And I get it. But I also know that if you go too early, you red light and you lose. It's better. It's better to wait. And what, who makes that decision? I don't. I know that.
Yeah, well, 100%. And that's, Nick and our guys, we've just been kind of just hanging out and doing what we can do. And, we don't really have any of that control, but we just do what we can do. And, I just hope that we do the right decision making. And, NHRA, I'm not going to lie to you. I think when they came out with their first plan and then came out with the second plan of, starting in June, I think it was something that we were talking about that, where are we going to be? We don't know really. Hopefully we will be racing in June. Hopefully that's something that we'll be doing. And, just selfishly, I guess for myself, just because, we're bored at home. We want to get on the road. We're so used to go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden we're slow down mode. So
right.
I hopefully we do the right thing, and I think everything will be okay. We just got to stick together. That's the biggest key.
That is it. What's the vibe there in Brownsburg? Because we know that I'm an independent contractor. I'm not an employee of anybody, and so my work has pretty much all stopped, which except for Wfo, which is why I have Wfo. But we hear about people being furloughed and all that, and you don't have to give me specifics, but I know that everybody that's not doing anything, like not working, like absolutely essential personnel, are not doing a lot right now because there's no income for anybody. I totally understand it. So what's the attitude? Like, positive, negative, down, hopeful, our racing friends, like how are they handling this bizarre situation?
Well, I know that there are some of the teams out here that, have done some cuts and have taken back some money from people and, the employees. I can only speak for myself with our particular situation. Cruz called Nick and I, and we came in and sat down and had a meeting, and it's amazing. Cruz and Snap-on has been amazing through all of this. Our guys had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, obviously. There's some of the teams that, it spreads like wildfire through the racing community on how things are happening. But Cruz, the first thing he said is we're family. We're going to take care of one another. We're going to do our stuff, and we're going to fight through this. His sponsors are good. They've been talking to him left and right. And, as long as we keep sticking together, we'll be good. But, on our side, we have not had any cuts, thankfully. Knock on wood, Cruz has been amazing to our group bunch of guys. And, it's that he's better than anybody else. That's not the way I want to portray that. It's just that, he believes maybe a little different than other people. I'm not sure. I don't know the whole key of everything. I just know on our side that, he believes us, we're a family and we're going to stick together. One of the things that's a little different before I got there is that Nick really built a crew that wanted to stay. He had the same people from all last year as well as, to start this year off. So Nick has really done a good job of building a good crew, and Cruz has really felt very, very comfortable. In the very last race that was in Pomona, I was there just kind of helping out, kind of poking my nose here and there when I was helping Jim Maroney's car. And I could feel the vibe of his crew really had a connection with Cruz, and Cruz had a connection with the crew, which is, I think, something that he's probably not had in a while. He talks the Ron Tobler days when Ron Tobler was there, and I think that's kind of the feel that I get from him. It's kind of a fun deal. Earlier we were doing our deal, and you said, "Hey, just have some fun out there."
Yeah,
I'm having more fun right now. It's back when I was with the Ron Tobler deal. I'm having so much fun right now. The fact of working with Cruz, working with the crew guys, running the shop, doing all these things. And it's kind of where we're talking about not being able to race, it's like we want to race, we want to do it because we're so excited because everything has come together and we can't go out there and do it, you know, and that's what's kind of the hard part. But you know, we're just fighting through. That's all we can all do.
Yeah,
you know, stick together.
I think it's interesting. Let's face it. I've heard that Cruz in the past has been a challenging guy to work for. But what the heck do I know? I just hear things that people say. When I engage with Cruz has been super nice and great. And, you know, he's doing a lot of things himself and handling it. But the Snap-on car has got to win some races. That's it. Big sponsor, big sponsorship. And I really felt like, you know, that Snap-on they get that Cruz has got a fan base. Like Cruz is got a status in the sport of NHRA drag racing. And when he turns on win lights, it's good for drag racing. Simple as that. And so however you got here, because you were slated your first full-time crew chiefing job, you were over there with Ron Tobler on the Napa car. You guys won a championship. Then you moved over to Tasca. You selected a team, and Nick was part of that team that you selected. And things didn't work out for whatever reason. And then Nick ended up with Cruz, and then he pulled you in there. Like, first of all, to me, that's like an all for one, one for all, that family style atmosphere that you want. You want people feeling like you're going to war together, number one, and doing it for higher reasons. Talk a little bit about Nick and that, you know, what he did beyond like professionalism. Like, you guys obviously have a stronger connection.
Well, one of the things that you know, I base a lot of my stuff on is my past. Obviously, you do try to learn and do from mistakes and so on and so forth, and the things that are positive. Ron Tobler was a very positive thing. Jimmy Prock was very positive to me. Those are two of the, you know,
they're good.
Most
those guys
are unbelievable guys, right? But one of the things that Nick learned from being together with me is that he learned a lot of the Ron Tobler ways, and that is building a crew, teaching the crew, treating the crew with respect, learning how to build a team, how to prepare the parts, so on and so forth. And a lot of times there's a little bit that a lot of people don't see outside of the racing. You know, when you're a one-car team, okay, it's very difficult to do a lot of the things that you normally don't do with a big team. You know, big teams, you have a person that does the DOT, you have a person that orders the parts, you have a person that does, you know, you have your own shipping room over here that you go and pick up the parts and you walk out. Well, when you're a single car team, you don't do that. You pick up the phone, you make the phone calls, and you do all those things. You don't have somebody booking your rental cars, you don't have all these things. So there's a lot more work to building a team that you're on your own. When you're on your own, you have to do it all. You're not only the shipping person, you do all the PO work, you do all the ordering, you do all the firing, you do all the hiring, you do everything. So there's a little bit on the backside. So when I went to Tascas, it was a build up from the beginning. We moved a shop from Charlotte, North Carolina, that a lot of people don't know. We brought it to Indy. We had to build the shop in Indy. We had to put together a shop. We started building bodies. You know, we didn't have fixtures. We had to build the fixtures as well as race on top of a lot of this stuff. So not only did you have to start a team, you had to build the team, you had to build the shop, you had to build those things. And today's funny car racing is not like it was 20 years ago. Today's funny car racing, you better be on your game. There's some serious hitters out here. You look at J.R. Todd, you look at Sean Langdon when he was driving, you look at Cruz Pedregon, just like you talked about. You got a lot of money, you got a lot of personnel, you got a lot of people behind you, and it's tough racing out here. Anybody that comes to the racetrack in a funny car has a shot to win it. And they are big names out here. So there's a lot to it. And when you're a single car team, and where I'm going with this is that when I came to Cruz's, he asked me, what do I want to change? I said, I don't want to change anything. I think you have a good part. You have good pieces, but we need to get some background. We need some help. We need to do the extra steps as the big car does. And that's basically, let's get your blowers on a dyno. Let's make all your blowers the same. Let's make all the parts the same. Let's take all the whiz bam stuff off and let's get to the basics, as Ron Tobler would say. Like, let's be truthful with ourselves. Do we need this? Do we need that? Let's get to the basics of the race. And that's where we're at right now. We went to Don Schumacher, and Don called me actually and said, congratulations on my job. And then said, if I need anything, to call him. And I said, well, I'd like to get some blower work done. And he said, okay, can I use your blower dyno? Can I use your fuel pump dyno? Can we use all these things? And, that to us is huge, because now we have built a relationship not only with our smaller teams, but with a big team. And when we need help or we need parts or we need this, we can go and do the things that the big cars do. So that's been good. And also, as well as bringing Nick along with that program, and that's where we kind of started this conversation, is that Nick has learned a lot of this from me, but as well from Ron Tobler, because when Ron Tobler, he was helping me on the Tasca car, he built a relationship with Nick, and he respects Nick, and Nick picked up a lot of things from Ron Tobler. So, Nick has done a great job of putting together a deal over here. And really, I've just come in and just kind of went off and running, just like we were at the Tasca car, because he pretty much set everything up as I would have done. And that's the cool part, is what he does, I do, and it's a pretty good relationship.
The experience that you guys have, and I always think, like, the drivers get all the love, let's face it, because, fans in the stands, they see the car, they think about the driver gets the love. The crew chief gets all the stress. They're on the starting line, a lot of the decisions, the pressure, all of that. They also do pretty well from time to time. But the experience that you've had working at Force, Jimmy, Austin, working at Schumacher, Tobler, Nick was at Coletta, Nick has been like with you over at Schumacher with Tasca, that cross-pollination. What is it, in your opinion, about the greatest of the great crew chiefs that make them that way? Like, organization, okay, like there's a lot of people that are organized in the world. Years in the game, there's been people who are around for a long time, but they don't excel. Maybe they just don't have the right situation. But there's like a couple of guys that just got this thing, and if you could emulate them, like you would. But what do you think are the characteristics that make them the best of the best?
It's a call. It's your gut feeling. I've watched it with Ron Tobler many times. We were on the same page. We would go to the starting line, and he would say, no, I'm going to do this. And as an assistant, okay, let's do it. And you get these gut feelings, and it's an instinct, just like you said, experience. That's the thing is I try to compare myself to Jimmy Prock or Ron Tobler, but you look at the years and years of experience that Ron Tobler and even Jimmy Prock. I mean, look at how long Jimmy's been doing this. I mean, he's been doing it since he was, a young kid with his dad driving. So, all of those experiences come to play without a doubt. I started this when I was, 27, 26 years old. And I've been doing it for 20 years. But, when I think, well, I've done it for 20 years. Well, Ron Tobler's been doing it for how long? Okay. 3 times, twice as many times as I have.
Right.
So it's those years of experience and the years of the gut ache of what I'm doing now as a crew chief that he's done. And the one thing that makes Ron Tobler probably better than 90% of the people is, when he was doing it with Shirley, there wasn't a lot of crew guys. There wasn't very much money. He had to do everything himself. And so a lot of that is easily gained respect when you bring in crew guys, because they understand that Ron Tobler's done it all. There's no BS in Ron Tobler. There's, oh, well, I no, it's the way it is, because Ron Tobler is there, so. But, one of the things with Ron Tobler that he's got in his corner, he doesn't have very much turnover. He has a lot of guys that stick with him, that's been with him since Cruz Pedregon days. And that's the key to 90% of it. I mean, when you have the same guys doing the same job over and over and over again, That's big for you. As a crew chief, you don't have to worry about anything. That's the one thing that I learned with Ron Tobler and the Napa guys. They just did it. They didn't ask questions. They didn't do it because they didn't have to, because they've done it for so many years, doing the same job over and over and over again. They knew exactly what Ron Tobler wanted, and they did it.
Do you think?
And that's.
Do you think Ron is, and this is kind of interesting because he's won so many different championships and finished second so many times, like one of the greats, but. And that's how we got to know each other real well, is through the wine experience, incidentally.
Yep.
With
Did you notice that's a Camus, bottle of Camus, too?
I did notice that. That's why you're taking a photo with it. If it was a bottle of Alamos, you would not be taking a photograph of yourself with it. That's just my opinion. But getting to know his him as the person as opposed to him as the crew chief, and like, all right, see where this dude's coming from. I kind of feel like he's underrated. When people talk about, crew chiefs over the era, there's only been so many guys who have been there all this time. Now, how do you say Ron Tobler's underrated for someone who's won all these different world championships? But I don't know. I feel like he's underrated. What do you think?
I personally believe he is. He's probably one of the great crew chiefs, without a doubt. And I think he is definitely underrated maybe he doesn't have quite as many wins or whatever that everybody else has. But for a guy, when I first started, that could take and go and take a tune-up and go help another team and bring it together and make it run, and it's a completely total different car, it's amazing. I could name Paul Lee, TJ Zizzo. We can continue on. I mean, when JC started, it was the same thing. They started JC's car. It was Ron Tobler's. Dickie Venables. Okay. How many times Dickie comes over to our pit and when I worked over there and said, "Hey, Tobler, can you come look at my stuff?" Tobler goes over there and helps. That's the one great thing about Ron Tobler is he has zero ego whatsoever. He is there to help. He's there to help his friends. He's there to help anybody. And that's what's amazing about him. But to watch, one of my greatest ones would be TJ Zizzo. When he walked over to TJ Zizzo and said, "Dude, this is your dragster. This is your car. You need to be involved in it." And TJ Zizzo's like, "Man, I'm going broke. I'm blowing parts up. I'm blowing pieces up." And Ron Tobler straight out told him, he goes, "Why?" He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "That's your fault. Because this is your stuff. You need to do it." And to watch those two argue and yell at one another. And then you watch a year later, the car runs 75s, and he's a part-time car. And he's running 75s consistently. And the reason why is because it's got a 5-disc clutch in it that came from a funny car from Ron Tobler and a tune-up from Ron Tobler.
Tremendous.
But it's amazing that you can transform it, and if you listen to Ron Tobler, you can make things happen, and it's pretty impressive, really is.
I have a plan to do. I've been doing this Friday cocktails show. I want to get him on here for a virtual wine night.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I want to be invited.
Yeah,
I'll be in the background.
You'll be popping in. You'll just like you popped on right now, right? It's in the future, folks. We're working on it. Just got to get him to agree, obviously, and then we got to all go buy wine. We'll have to put out a list, right? Like the Tobler top 5, which I'm already on this. This idea is well formed already. So now that's interesting to hear you say that. I want you to talk about the other side of it now. A lot of people want to work on a funny car. They want to get close to the nitro. They want to be part of NHRA drag racing. But we also hear the crew guys, man, their lives are tough. It's not easy life. It's not like announcer life. It's tough life where you are out there grinding and working late hours, all-nighters, etc. What makes a good crew person?
Well, we hired a new kid because we lost one guy from last year, and he swore up and down. I graduated UTI. I graduated. I'm ready to go. I love racing. I love this. I love that. And he wanted to do this. And so he drove straight from Charlotte. He graduated on a Friday, and by Monday he was at our shop and he was doing his test and, hung out with us for a couple of days just to see if we liked him and if he liked it. And I love it. And it was fine until he got on the road. And then when he got on the road, he started to it's a little different here. Hold on here. I'm traveling, going down the road. Okay, that's fine the first time. Then the second time you travel from there to Pomona, and then from Pomona to here, back to the shop, and then got to go to Gainesville. And, he still hasn't even hit any of the bad stuff yet. But
right. The bad stuff.
I don't know how to explain it, how a crew guy makes it or not, but usually you can tell after the first weekend, usually after the first 2 or 3 days, if a guy's going to make it, just because you'll see he's usually dirty. He's got dirt on his face. His hands are dirty. He's wore out. He's tired. He doesn't want to go out and have a beer after work anymore. He just wants to go back to his room because he put his 110% in all day, and he worked and he did it and he did his part. He did his job. And some guys you think are going to make it and they just don't. But truthfully, it's in your heart more so than anything else. It's just the love that you have. And, a lot of people can say, yeah, I want to do it. I want to do it because I want to be on the starting line. But 90% of what we do, 99%, 95% of the stuff that we do is preparation more so than anything else. And that's where a lot of people don't realize that, yeah, we're at the starting line 4 times a weekend, 5 times a weekend, but that's only a couple hours out of our day, out of our weekend, really. Most of the time it's preparing in the trailer or at the shop before we get there. So crew guys, it's just about, and I'm not going to lie to you, some situations are different. When you have a bunch of crew guys that are working together, having a good time, going out at night, inviting, where they're just, hey, come on with us. We're going to go over here and have a couple beers and dinner and we're going to bed. Or you're going to have some standoffish people that are just not getting along and they're just miserable because of the situation. That kind of kills some of the situation too. That's again where Cruz and Nick and I talked about. We need to establish a very good crew because the crew is going to make us look good. And that's the one thing that Ron Tobler, and everybody else has ever told me. You hire people that make you look good. Because if they're making you look good, that means you're doing your job. And we got to mold and correct our guys and build them to make us look good. And that's what we try to do. But you also got to make them happy too. That's what the wine nights are about.
Right.
Like Ron Tobler's. You got to have some fun. You got to have some enjoyment, and you've noticed that, a couple of his crew guys, they like wine now. They never liked wine before.
Right.
Well, the reason why is because they're having a little bit more fun with it, and they're enjoying it more. And that's what 90% of this, and that's what I learned from Ron Tobler. And that's what you've always got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy this, you might as well go home because it's not going to be very much fun.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And there are people out there who would drink acid with Ron Tobler, if they could learn some of the things. So it's not so bad drinking a little bit of wine. But you became a connoisseur, though. It's kind of hard to not. He's very passionate about it. It's kind of hard to not become passionate about it. Not just him. It's kind of a thing. Right? You're out here, you're on the road, you tend to enjoy. Cruises popped in, a lot of people have popped in. It's kind of like a sub-hobby of the drag racers.
Well, that bottle that you're looking at that Nick and I took a picture of with the Camus, that actually is in Cruise's simulator room that he does all of his driving.
Yes.
He's got a refrigerator in there, and he was hiding that bottle right there, the Camus, in the fridge, and I didn't even know about it. And so while we were redoing doing his room in there, we were repainting and doing everything, and we found that bottle, and I sent that picture to Cruz, and I said, hey, we're finished with the room, we're going to pop the bottle open now. And he's like, no.
Come on, Cruz, you got to have more than one bottle of Camus sitting around. Come on now.
Exactly, yeah. So
that's like a favorite. That's you got to reward yourself at the end of a long day. All right, so let me ask you this, and I'm kind of put you on the spot, but maybe not. You once told me an amazing story about a certain legendary crew chief being super talented on a motorcycle. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Austin Coil.
Yes. Okay. Is that something you can share? Because I thought that story was hysterical. Obviously, leave out anything you need to leave out, but just you think of Austin Coil in one way. Got the toothpick, the hat, smooth, making these moves. And the story you told me was just a totally different human being, and 100%. It's the same person. Drop it 100%. If you can.
So I came from Gary Dencham's car, where his team was, and he lost his ride, and Forrest offered him a job for Jimmy Prock to tune his race car. And Forrest gave me a shot to come over there and work for Jimmy on his car. And I got to know Coil through doing the blowers, because Coil did all the blowers. So I was building blowers left and right. And I want to say it was a good 6 months. Coil never even said a word to me. And he just, do this, do that, but nothing real positive. It's just kind of like Coil, what everybody thinks of Coil, and it's not that he's standoffish. It's just, he's got his certain ways of doing stuff. And until you prove yourself, he doesn't really have much to say to you, because he wants you to prove yourself. And so it was kind of funny, because I come rolling into the shop early because Eric Medlin was showing me how to do blowers, and we're building blowers early in the morning. So when Coil got there, he could do blower dynos. Well, this was a Saturday morning in California, so I drove my motorcycle to work, and I parked it outside the door, and I came inside, pulled my helmet off, did my stuff, and we started building blowers. Well, about 45 minutes later, Austin Coil comes in and says, to Eric Medlin, he said, whose motorcycle is that? And he goes, well, that's Hop Singh's over there. And he looks at me, and he looks at Eric, and he looks back at me, and he goes, what's your name again? And I said, it's Hop Singh. And he goes, so you ride a motorcycle? I said, yeah. I said, I got a Jexer 750 out there. And he goes, all right. He goes, you go into the canyons and stuff? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right. He goes, well, we're going to have a ride on Saturday if you want to go riding with me. I said, all right, well, let's go ride. And so Saturday morning, the next Saturday, I showed up to the shop, and, he came in, and he had this beautiful 929 Ducati motorcycle. And, let me tell you what, I never thought in my life I would ever see Coil on a motorcycle like a Ducati 929. And we pulled out of the parking lot. And when we pulled out of this parking lot, he pulled the front wheel up and took off on this motorcycle. And I was just amazed that, Austin Coil rides a motorcycle, first of all. By the time I got onto the freeway, he's gone. And we're driving down the road. I can't catch him. And I'm on my motorcycle, and I'm going 100 and something mile an hour going down the road, and I just can't catch him. So we finally got to the place where we're at, and we're going to go into the canyons, and we're going to just carve the roads and stuff, just have some fun. And, well, that's what I thought. But here we go. We get going on the road, and Coil's gone. And Coil's laying a knee down to the ground. Like, Coil can ride a motorcycle like there's no tomorrow. But the problem is, you have to understand, is Coil is not a small guy. Like, Coil's a big guy. He's going like in the corners and dragging a knee down and the whole 9 yards. And I'm thinking to myself, who am I riding with? Where does this all come from? It's like, you would never ever expect Austin Coil to ride a motorcycle. Well, he's got some of the coolest motorcycles. I mean, he's got a Aprilia, he's got the BMW, I think, what is it, a 1400 BMW or 1200 BMW. I mean, he's got some really nice motorcycles. But the funny part of the deal is after we were done with this, Coil and I became buddies because we rode motorcycles. And that was our conversation. We didn't talk about blowers, we didn't talk about anything else. We talked about motorcycles. And that's kind of the one thing that I bring between Austin Coil and Ron Tobler, because Ron Tobler is the same way. When he gets about wine, it's about wine. It's not about anything else, not race cars, not anything else. It's about the wine. And it's the same way with Coil. There's a time and place for everything. We'll talk about motorcycles. It's motorcycles. When it's work, it's work. But there's that fine line between having fun. But yeah, Austin Coil can ride a motorcycle, and there's probably a lot of people out there that never knew that. And let me tell you what, he impressed me like there's no tomorrow. And I thought I was a hot rodder, going around and cutting corners, and that no, not to ride with Austin Coil.
All right. Listen, I love it. When I heard that one the first time, I was blown away. Just, you get an image of a person, and that becomes the image, and there's so much more to everyone, especially when you're around so many unique people. Anything else you want to put out there, Eric, before we let you go? I appreciate, you coming on, killing some time with us. We've certainly had fun. I know we want to be talking racing, but this has been good. Anything else you got?
Yeah, you made a comment there earlier about Cruz and how you're kind of standoffish, and I want people to understand that from my side of the view, let me tell you what, he's an amazing man, actually, really, truthfully. If you ever get a chance, he's kind of hard to talk to, and that's, I think, kind of the reason people kind of take it that way. But he's like Ron Tobler. He's a no frills, no straightforward, and I think a lot of people take it as that because he just comes out. I call it verbal vomit. And that's one reason I like him and I like Ron Tobler, is because they're very similar. They just say it. It just comes out of their mouth. And I think some people probably take it in, I don't know, probably kind of a bad way, just because they just say it and they don't mean anything by it. It just comes out. And so I challenge people to take a different approach with him, or just talk to him differently, or just see him, because he's definitely a better person than most people have given him that light. And I truly believe that in my heart, because I've worked with a lot of people throughout this journey that I've had through drag racing. And let me tell you what, he may have been a douchebag back then. I don't know. But right. Let me tell you what, he's probably one of the coolest, down to earth guys that I have truly met. And very honest and very open and very down to earth kind of guy. He just is, I think, gotten a bad rap because of a lot of different stuff, and maybe he's changed. I don't know. I'm just telling you right now, personally, probably one of the most stand-up guys I've ever worked for.
Well, and that's great that you're saying that. And my experience has been positive, but you hear things, but then again,
exactly.
My experience with everybody is positive. Everybody wants to have a positive experience with me, because maybe I'll say their name or their sponsor or something.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, you want me to give you another example?
Yes.
When I first started at Don Schumacher's, it was the same thing. Everybody heard the dark side, Don Schumacher Racing,
right.
Oh my God, don't talk to Don. He's this horrible guy. He might have been horrible back before I was there. I don't know. Maybe he was a little tougher, a little meaner. I don't know, but he was always a stand-up. And to this day, he's probably one of the most stand-up guys that I've ever worked for. He's very straightforward. He tells you suck. He tells you when you do a good job. But you know what? I would rather somebody come and tell me, hey, you need to do a little better. But at the same time, he has enough gall to come to you and say, hey, great job. And that's to me, a man, that's somebody that's really taking, you have to take the good with the bad. And, sometimes there's a lot of good and sometimes there's a lot of bad. But, everybody has an opinion. And, I learned from my opinion now is totally different than Cruz than when I first started. And I just want people to understand that, he is not too many people in our racing community can say right now that they didn't lay anybody off. They didn't cut any wages. He never even talked about it. He never even thought about it, which is very impressive to me. I was getting kind of worried just in the fact that, there's a lot of different stuff going on here. And, he never talked about it. And that's what makes me believe the guys that are standing behind him right now will be there with him for a while. And the reason why is because they have loyalty to him now. It's pretty impressive.
Well,
it really is.
And these are the times, tough times. Tough times don't last. Tough people do, and that makes me feel really good about it. And sometimes you need to be put in an uncomfortable position.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's good for you. Look at that conversation with TJ that you mentioned with Ron Tobler. Like, sometimes you need to be shaken out of your comfort zone, and it takes something like that, and some people can't handle it. So I think it's great. Yeah. And I just want to see you guys on the track and go out and get a win and get a second win.
Yeah. And one of the other things that we all got to realize too here is, as NHRA, we got to stick together. And I think that's one of the things that we hopefully will do throughout this process, is that this is going to be a tough road for NHRA. It's going to be a tough road for our teams. It's going to be a tough road for everybody. And I think something that we need to really sit back and look at is, if we love our sport as much as we do, we're going to have some bumps and grinds throughout the rest of this season if we do get racing here. Hopefully in June we start racing, and it's not going to be very, very fun. But we need to stick together as a group to make sure that we come out of this as a group and as a family, as racers, and hopefully we can do that. But we're going to have to all look in the mirror and say, what can we do? And just like those people making things for the other teams, nurses and doctors, when we get to racing again, we're going to have to do it for ourselves and for our people that are racing. So, hopefully we're all ready and on board for it.
Absolutely. How's the fam before I let you go?
Daughter's doing amazing. Everybody's doing great. I don't know have you seen a picture of her horse yet?
No.
Oh yeah, I'll have to send you pictures of the horse. So yeah, she's got a horse and she's been jumping and doing all the fun stuff. And for a 5-year-old, I think her teacher is about pulling her hair out because all she wants to do is jump the horse. And she's been doing really well. She went to her first major meet and won, I think, first, and I think she had a second and then a fifth. So she did really, really well. Very proud of her. She just finished kindergarten, which I feel a little bit bad for because she didn't really have a graduation. But and she learned how to ride a bike today.
Hey, victory!
Yeah,
today is going to be a win.
Actually, yesterday she wanted to get a new bike. I told her, well, then you need to get the training wheels off. And she went down the street with no training wheels on and did turns and everything. So after I'm done here, I'm going to buy her a new bike.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
Eric, I appreciate you coming on the show. Great reconnecting with you as well. That's been the toughest part. You don't see your friends for a long time, but we're going to be back out there soon enough. Hey, Molly says, what's up from Lowell, Indiana? And Brian Brewster says that you guys will have that car in the winner's circle real soon. A lot of positive energy out there for you. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And, if there's anything I can do, I'm just excited to be back out there whenever it happens.
Yep, for sure. And stop by and say hi. And trust me, we have a wine fridge in our trailer too. So it may not rival Ron Tobler's, but we'll have a little bit there.
That's great. I'll make a lap. That sounds good to me. All right, Eric, thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
Take care.
Thank you.
There he goes. Eric Lane, a.k.a. Hop Sing, a.k.a. Asian Larry, a.k.a. he's got a bunch of nicknames, with us here on WFO Radio Live. How about that? What a great, the Coil story the first time I heard it. It's like over and that's alien to me. It's alien to me. Here he is. He's like this young guy going out there thinking he's fast. And no, man, he's not fast. Not in the least. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. I do appreciate all you guys. Let me run down the people that really make this all possible for us, though. Talking about like Marvin Rodak. I brought a little Rodak's coffee show and tell for you guys. There it is. Look at this. This is Marvin. This is what he sends me. And this is why I'm able to get through these shows at a very high energy level. There's drag racing themed coffee. It's amazing. The guy's a great guy, and he's roasting coffee right now. So give him a call. Like literally, order a pound of coffee right now. 817-924-6821. A little Marvin Rodak's coffee. You can get these great mugs and anything. It's all about keeping the small businesses together. Hop was just saying about like the family, the NHRA family, keeping everybody together. Yeah, it's very, very true. Also, Total Seal piston rings. The leader in ring seal technology. But for me, I get to do this great podcast called Hidden Horsepower. Keith Dorton, the most recent episode, NASCAR legend engine builder, has done like science projects for the Department of Energy. And it's all discussed in there. Really cool. But it all is about, if you're an engine builder or you're building an engine and you want to make horsepower, you're spending a lot of money on a lot of things. Don't skimp out on maybe the most underrated performance part, which is your piston ring, which provides ring seal, pistons and piston rings. Go to TotalSeal.com, find out more information. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Real proud that I get to mention them because I hope that there's a young person out there, when I say young, between 13 and 30, that says, man, I want to be the next high-performance engine builder, machinist, work on CNC machines. That's going to keep this whole operation that is racing and motorsports going. They've also got a podcast we produce called Factory Stock Podcast. Can't wait to get that going. Samtech.edu. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. This is where everybody goes to get their Super Comp, Super Gas license, Top Alcohol, Funny Car license, located Gainesville Raceway, Gainesville, Florida, Frank and Lana Hawley. But they've got something that goes around the country called the Dragster Adventure. They bring dragsters, you race dragsters, and you don't need anything. You just show up. To me, that's like what you should plan on doing when this is all over. Really cool stuff. And, of course, Magic Dry, Scott Palmer, really, was on the show last Friday Cocktails. We've got a Friday Cocktails coming up. Tommy Johnson Jr. and Kathy Fisher. Everybody that is on it, myself included, are connected to Performance TV on Motor Trend, 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning. It's going to be like a reunion. Tommy, you're going to talk funny cars. And then Kathy will talk 5-second top dragsters, even though you can't go that quick anymore. Last week it was Scott Palmer, MagicDryUS.com. And I want to give a shout out to Steve Brenwald Media, doing all our artwork here on WFO Radio and very helpful. He worked at a sign shop. They blew him out. He's like old, I don't want to say all that stuff. But the bottom line is he is a good person, graphic arts, very talented. And if you need any work, he can definitely take care of it. Now, final thoughts. I thought Evan was fantastic. Evan Smith. And did excellent work. I thought Eric was fantastic. And this is what it's all about. If you are interested in a WFO Radio t-shirt, that's the artwork that is on the back. And Randy Len says I'm going to have these real soon. I can't wait to see it. But go to nitrofishracing.com and get yourself a WFO Radio t-shirt. That helps me directly. And, of course, Nitro Fish and Randy Len and Bo Butner doing excellent work there. And I just want to say thanks to all the listeners out there, everybody who has supported the show over the years. And I got some comments on the tree. And this tree in the background has been in my bar/lounge for many, many years. I took that tree out of the base of the Miami Hollywood Speedway Tower after the last drag race in 1992. It was given to me by Dick Moroso because it was just junk that was in the bottom of the tower. I was the track announcer then. And it was so sad to lose our track. And so I took it home and I sandblasted it at Ernie McDaniel Race Cars in Davie, Florida, and I painted it, and I put it back together. And I used it for a while. And it's been in my bar. And my friends who don't know anything about drag racing don't care about it at all. And I see it there, and I decided now that we're doing these live shows, I need to break it out. And so I went over there and I broke it out. And now it is there. But what good is a tree if it doesn't work? And so now, since there's the craze of everybody on the practice trees, I'm in on it too. 505, baby. Yeah, my final round 2 practice tree is in effect as well. So I can have a little fun with everybody else. Not late. 16. And there you have it. So tomorrow we'll be back, 4 p.m. Kathy Fisher, hopefully, Kathy, and Tommy Johnson Jr. will be having cocktails and having fun and enjoying ourselves and talking about life and talking about fun. You are welcome to join, hopefully start a watch party. I was supposed to stream this on Instagram as well, but it didn't work out. We'll get it tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who weighed in on the show. Thanks to our guests. Good job, Justin. Remember, KN95masks.com or Gmail, you go back and watch. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
This is WFO Radio.
I love WFO Radio. Oh, yeah.
The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, whether it be licensing for super comp, super gas, all the way up to top alcohol. They can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
We're talking gourmet coffee, we're talking hot sauces, we're talking spice rubs, we're talking everything good at RodakCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak, been doing it since the 70s, figured out that life is better with great coffee, and oh, he's so right. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. He'll roast up some coffee fresh for you. Throw in some hot sauce, some spice rub, and you will be loving it. Hit him up, RodakCoffeeandGrills.com. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO Stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
This is W.